Trying to understand English grammar is like trying to solve a mystery. English grammar is irregular, contradictory, and confusing. Fortunately, though, you don't have to walk these dark streets of grammatical confusion by yourself. I'm English teacher Paul Duke, and on this show I'll be your grammar detective. Each week, we'll investigate communication crimes and suspicious sentences, context clues and example evidence. Together, we'll solve these English mysteries once and for all. Welcome to Hard-Boiled English Live. Good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. Year of the Rabbit, according to the Chinese calendar. Welcome to Hard-Boiled English Live. I'm your humble host and grammar detective, Paul Duke, and we are streaming to you live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, and Telegram from Vancouver, Canada. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, this is usually the show where I investigate your English mysteries, usually based on a video clip that a viewer has sent to me. But to start the new year, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. Tonight is the first live stream of the year, so I kind of wanted to take some time and talk about what's coming ahead for Hard-Boiled English Live, and also to talk with you guys about what sort of grammar topics we should discuss this year. So, as we get started, and forgive me, I have a little bit of a scratchy throat today, but I'd like to hear from you and tell me what country you're watching from and also your name, because sometimes if you're watching from a Facebook group, it doesn't show your name. So, we have with us tonight Kira Sage. I can't stay, but I want to send my regards. You're amazing as always, and I left off my... Thank you. And coming soon, folks, we have a pre-recorded interview with Kira that will air on this show January 20th. So stay tuned for promotion about that, okay? It'll be coming next week, basically. I also want to say hello to Chris Derboven from Belgium. Longtime viewer, very dedicated, stays up late to watch our show. We also have with us Stacy Joan from South Korea, I believe. Yeah, South Korea. We have somebody watching from Facebook group. So when you're in a Facebook group, you can watch the show, you can leave comments, but I can't see your name. It's Chris from Brazil. Hi, Chris. Happy New Year to you. We also have with us Victor from Nicaragua. Welcome to the show, Victor. I don't believe we've met before. Maybe, I'm not sure. Anyway, welcome to the show. Who else is with us? If you're just joining us, guys, please say hello in the comment thread and tell me what country you're watching from. And as I said, according to the Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Thai, Cambodian calendars, it is the year of the rabbit, which is cool because rabbits are my favorite animal. Love rabbits. And in fact, I live in a neighborhood where there are rabbits running naturally out in the parks. So if I go for a walk, I can say hello to my neighborhood rabbits. It's pretty cool. Who else is joining us? We have, hi, Kana. Kana's from Japan. Welcome to the show, Kana. Thank you for joining us. I'm not sure which Kana you are, but I think I know who you are. If it's the Kana I know from Kyoto, thank you for watching the show. Great to hear from you. Who else is watching? So as I said, guys, tonight I will not be investigating a specific grammar point. I want to use this evening to have a little conversation with you and to hear your opinions on a few things. And we'll get to that shortly. In the meantime, we'll say hello to everyone. Hopefully you all had a good holiday season in whatever form that takes for you and your family. And I wish you all the best for 2023. A lot of people say things like, I hope you have a great year. I wish you all the best. I'm a bit more of an existentialist, so I kind of believe that we have a lot of control over what we do with our time. So I prefer to say, let's make 2023 a great year. Let's do everything we can to be optimistic and positive and do things that we dream about doing. And go after those dreams, go after your goals in 2023, whatever they are, even if they're short-term goals or long-term goals. Whatever the case, I wish you the best, not luck, but best effort at making this year great. Well, there's a lot to talk about tonight, so I'm going to get myself ready. And as I said, we're not going to be investigating grammar this directly today. Instead, what I'd like to do is ask you some questions and see what your thoughts are on them. Now, I'll just clear the chat for a moment. There's a lot of things happening on my side, a lot of projects, a lot of new developments. For example, I've been recording a new writing podcast with two writing coaches from the UK, Philip Charter and Pete Posner. And we're already on episode number 6, which you can find episode 6 on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course the YouTube video version is available on my YouTube channel. This is all about writing and different topics related to challenges English writers, international writers face, and how you can resolve them. So check out our latest episode of Trouble with Writing podcast, and this one's all about developing your voice. Very fascinating topic. And of course, if you're not familiar with my projects, check out my flagship series, my main series on YouTube, which is called English Weirdness. We have 10 episodes, and each one investigates a strange dimension of English grammar that really challenges English learners. And each episode analyzes it, investigates it in depth with animations and little story and dramatization. So check that out too. Now we're going to get to schedule in a minute, but if you're not sure where to find me, you can always go to my website, hardboiledenglish.com. On that website are links and connections to everything I do, including all of my video series, all the episodes of the YouTube lives that I do, Hardboiled English Live. You can find English Weirdness episodes, and you can find my blog where you can see articles about English and culture and things like that. So check that out. Joining us also is Wako from Japan. Hi, Wako. Oh, Wako. Yeah, Wako from Japan. Welcome, welcome. In addition to my website, which again, if you're not sure where to find me on the website, because the website links to everything else, including links to purchase products. There's a link to my store where you can buy various hard-boiled English and grammar detective products like mugs. There's a new notepad, a little notebook product available with the logos of Hardboiled English Live. You can get that in the store now. Everything's on the website, so it's a good starting point. What else can I tell you? Yeah, I want to talk to you guys about schedule. Well, I'm out of here. Okay. So, whoopsie. Let's get the logo off. So, to start 2023, the schedule is going to be a little strange. So, today, obviously, we're streaming. January 13th, we're streaming again. At this time, 4 p.m. my time. That's Pacific time. January 20th, we have an interview, pre-recorded interview, because I won't be available to stream live. And again, that interview is with Kira Sage, a wonderful educator from California. So this is going to be live at 4 p.m., but on YouTube only. So go to the YouTube channel at The Grammar Detective, and you'll see that great interview. Then between January 27th and February 17th, there'll be no shows. I'll be offline, having a little bit of repair done to an injured knee I have. So I'll be out of commission for a couple weeks. If all goes well, we'll be back to streaming normally February 24th. And then, as it happens every year, March 17th, we're going to change the time, because where I live in the world, we have daylight savings time, and the clocks change by an hour twice a year. Okay, so again, just stay tuned to the website, stay tuned to my Facebook page, YouTube channel, for updates about the various schedule changes. But for the next few weeks, we will be streaming 4 p.m. Pacific time every week, okay? Now then, what I'd like to ask you guys, I've got some questions here, but what I want to know from you guys is, as we go into this new year, I want to know what specific grammar topics you want me to discuss. So what I like to do with this show is invite you guys to ask me grammar questions. And the best way to do this is to send me a video. Send me a 1-minute video asking the question, and then I can build a show around it. So you've seen some examples of that recently. Some viewers sent in questions. I made a little introduction with their clip, and then I built the show around it. This is a great way to get you guys participating. You guys can be on screen with me, and of course, I can answer your specific questions in the best way possible. So if you'd like to participate, send me by email about a 1-minute video where you ask me your grammar question. And it can be a grammar point you don't understand fully. It could be a sentence you've heard, or an expression, an idiom you've heard that you don't understand. Anything related to grammar, send me a video question and we'll answer it on the show, okay? So what sort of topics are you interested in learning more about, right? What sort of things do you find confusing and want to learn more about? Let's make a little list on the board, okay? In the comment thread, tell me what you'd like to learn more about in regards to English grammar. Any ideas, guys? What do you want to learn more about? Or what confuses you? Or what have we explained on the show on a previous episode, but you still don't understand? Maybe you want to work more on. Yeah, Chris has a lovely sentiment here. We must make the best of 23. That's it. We owe it to ourselves to do our best. And then luck, fate, or if you're religious, your God, they take care of the rest. But we have to do our share. Whatever it is we want for our lives, we've got to make an effort. So I hope you all make your best effort this year to pursue your goals and live the life the way you want to. I know that's not easy. Life is a constant challenge, but we need to make the effort. Okay, so Victor's saying phrasal verbs. Yeah, always an issue. We can certainly deal with that. We've done shows about that in the past, Victor, but we can certainly go back to it. If you have a specific question about phrasal verbs, please send me a video clip of you asking the question. Just like a selfie video, asking the question that you have. It's best if we have a very specific question, because then we can focus on that as our starting point. For example, you could have a sentence that you've heard and you don't understand how the phrasal verb is working. Ask me that question. I wonder if I have an example ready. I do not have an example of one of those questions. We call them English mysteries. that the viewers like you send in, and I answer the question. I don't have one set up, but you can go to the YouTube channel and see examples of how we build that show around it. Okay, so far we have phrasal verbs. Good. Let me make a little title here. This is topics to discuss. Topics to discuss. Okay. Anybody else have an idea? Idioms. Okay, good. Idioms are always good. Now again, if you have a specific idiom or expression that you've heard, you can send me a question about that specific idiom, because there's so many idioms in English. There are many. And I can't necessarily explain a simple rule about idioms, because every idiom arises from a specific cultural context. So I can explain in general how idioms work, but it may not help you understand any specific idioms. Okay. So here's another one, the difference between take and bring. Right? Sometimes, for example, with verbs like this, they're both verbs, so that's similar. They both involve holding something, usually while you move, like take my pen from here to here, or bring my pen from here to here. So sometimes there's similarities between two words. Sometimes the differences are very small. I'm a firm believer, though, that if we have two different words available in English, they mean two different things. Synonyms do not equate 100%. I believe that's a myth. I don't believe synonyms are two words that mean the same thing. They don't mean the same thing. The meanings might be 95% similar, but there's a difference in there somewhere. That's why we still have two words. If there were no difference between them, one of those words would vanish over the long history of English use. But because we still have them, there must be some difference, because that difference makes each one useful. Okay? So Stacy, I would love it if you sent me a video asking me this question. And again, guys, send it to my email address right here, hardboiledenglish6@gmail.com. Just a short video from your phone, and we'll build the show around that. Great examples so far, guys. What else can we discuss this year? In the meantime, while we're here, do you have any other questions for me? Questions about anything. Could be questions about my hometown, questions about my favorite animal. If you have questions, let's answer them right here. Tonight's sort of an unscripted, casual show. So let's open the floor. Let's just add that one. Oops, a little bit of spelling error there. That will never do. Yeah, if you guys have any questions that I can answer for you, shoot. Quotation marks for titles. Okay, good. Well, Chris, the answer is pretty simple. The answer is don't use them. Quotation marks are for quoting things that other people say, including vocabulary or short expressions that someone else has said. If you're writing something like typing or word processing, and you have a title of a book or a film or an article or anything like that, generally we use italics in English to represent the title. not quotation marks. Now, if you're writing an academic article or paper, there is sometimes where you are referring to a source article where they do get quotation marks. But that's strictly for citation work in academic research papers. But generally, if you're referring to the title of a movie, an article, or a book, you just use italics, not quotation marks. Okay, well, Stacy is asking pronunciation. Now, normally this show is devoted to grammar, but I can certainly take a little time to talk about pronunciation. I mean, after all, I call myself the grammar detective, not the punctuation, not the pronunciation detective. But we have S, Z, and is. Good. How to avoid being rude in business situations. Okay, so you need some polite vocabulary and polite expressions. Because the way to avoid being rude is simply to be polite. So we need to understand how to be polite, right? And also, rudeness, where am I? Rudeness, what defines rudeness is culturally specific. Different cultures, in different cultures, different things are rude and different things are polite, right? So there's no, the general way to avoid being rude is to be polite, but you have to learn how to be polite in that cultural context. Anytime you're using English, of course, you can always make sure you have lots of please and thank yous and sorry if you've done something that you think is wrong. So to avoid being rude, you really have to focus on being polite, but you have to think about the specific culture, right? Being polite, for example, in South Korea will be very different than being polite in Canada. I'll give you an example. When I teach in a classroom with international students, Korean students will often call me Professor Paul or Teacher Paul or Sir, but I teach adults. Everyone's over 18. And they believe they have to show me respect by using a certain kind of language, because that's what the Korean language does and the Korean culture does. But in Canada, if you're an adult and I'm an adult and we're in a classroom, I don't need you to call me Sir. I don't need you to call me Teacher Paul. You can if you want. You can call me Paul, because we're adults. We're equals. If you want to show me respect, I don't need fancy words. What I need is for my students to work hard. Because if I'm working hard to teach and my students are lazy and they don't do their homework and they're not working hard on their English, that's a sign of disrespect. Okay? So in Canadian culture, if you want to show respect, do your job. If your job is to be a student, work hard and be a student. Because if I'm a teacher, my job is to teach, I'm going to work hard and be a teacher. That's respectful. You don't have to use fancy words. You can call me Teacher Paul, you can call me Sir if you want, but it's a little awkward for me. I'd rather you just call me Paul. So in English culture in Canada, the language use doesn't have to change to show your respect for me. And, you don't have to be polite to me. How can I say that? I need to earn your respect. So there's a basic standard of politeness. Please, thank you, excuse me, things like that. But this is a really good question. Now, I know some people that work in coaching cross-cultural communication. And that's really what you're talking about here. It's not really a grammar issue. It's not really a language issue, although we need to learn some vocab and some expressions that are polite. But this is about culture, because rudeness or politeness are defined by the culture, right? I've spent a lot of time in Japan, for example. I've been to South Korea, but very briefly. In Japan, it's a very polite society. They'll do things like they bow to show politeness when you greet someone. In Canada, you can bow if you want to. You can shake hands if you want to, or do this if you want to. But usually when you meet someone, especially a stranger, we use language to express politeness by saying things like, excuse me, or nice to meet you. Okay? Great question, but it's really a question of finding out how to be polite inside a culture. And, you know, by the way, Stacy, business, even international business, is its own culture, right? For example, if you do business in South Korea with American companies, you shouldn't have to become American, and they shouldn't have to become South Korean. You don't have to follow each other's cultural practice of politeness. International business has its own kind of, it's developed its own kind of universal culture, especially if English is being used. So it comes down to things like language and vocabulary. So perhaps we can spend some time on that. Okay, so punctuation, missing comma in compound sentence. Okay. Missing article. Yeah, comma after introductory clause, like, when I was a child, comma, I played in the park. When I was a child, that's a introductory clause or an adverbial clause of time. But the real sentence is, I played in the park. So we need a comma there. Perhaps we need to have a show built around punctuation. So Chris, if you have a chance, perhaps you can send me a video asking me these questions about commas, because that seems like number 1 and number 3 are related. It'd be great to have you participate again. But I know you're busy, so if you don't have time, that's fine too. Stacy is suggesting how to express a preference. Okay, good. Like, there's several ways to do it. You can use the verb prefer. I prefer blue pens to green pens. Prefer blank to blank. So you have 2 nouns, right? 2 different pens. I prefer blue pens, noun number 1, to green pens, noun number 2. So you can use the verb prefer. Prefer A or B. You can also use the expression, which is sort of a phrasal expression, would rather. And that's usually when your preferences are verbs. I would rather sing karaoke than swim in the lake. So sing and swim are 2 verbs, 2 actions that you might choose from. So if you have a preference, you can use would rather, verb number 1, than verb number 2, right? So that's an excellent topic too we can discuss in a future show. Absolutely. I just sort of summarized it right now in case you need this information in a hurry, but I'd rather spend more time and, you know, break it down in detail for you. Any other thoughts, guys? This is all excellent information. We've got a good list growing here. Again, I'd really love it if you sent me the video of you asking a specific question for me. That way we can get you involved in the show. And Chris says, okay, I'll make it. Yeah, of course, Chris, please. It's always awesome to have video contributions. Because also what's great about that is, even if it's a short video, when I stream the question live, it gives the audience, someone else to look at other than me for a moment. So it's kind of cool. Joining us is Eunice. Eunice, welcome to the show. Thank you. So Eunice, what country are you watching from? I can't remember. On tonight's show, we're making a list of all the grammar topics you want me to investigate this year. So, just making a little brainstorm list. of all the grammar topics to discuss in 2023. And, yes, Morocco. Right, great. Great to have you with us, Eunice. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so Eunice, do you have any grammar questions that you'd like us to discuss on the show, in a future show? Not tonight, but if you give me a list and give me some specific questions, that really helps. And even better, if you make a short video with your phone, ask me the question, 1-minute video, and email it to hardboiledenglish6@gmail.com. I'll build the show around your video. That way you're on the show too with me. All of these are excellent questions, guys. What else? What else can we talk about this year? Well, Eunice, that's what this show is all about. I'm here to help you understand grammar better, more clearly, in more depth. That's what this show is all about. But it helps me the most if you can ask me a specific question. Now, a specific question like, what's the difference between take and bring? The answer might be short, but it also might open the topic up and allow us to really understand it more deeply. So sometimes a simple question explodes into a bigger investigation. So I really appreciate it if people can send me a video, right? You send me a video of you asking the question. That way you get on screen with me and we can investigate your English mystery. Okay, prefixes and suffixes. Interesting topic, good. No problem, you can join the live stream anytime, Eunice. No problem. This live stream is for you. But yeah, again, send me a video clip. If you go to my YouTube channel, @TheGrammarDetective, you can see the recordings of previous shows. And you can see how someone sends me a video. I build it into a little introductory clip, and that starts the show. Joining us also is Se. What country are you watching from, Se? Okay, Stacy says collocations. Yes, collocations. Collocations are words that usually work together. Sometimes they're just phrasal verbs. Phrasal verb is a verb and a preposition that work together, like listen to music. Whenever you have the verb listen, it's always working with to. Listen to music. Listen to your mother. That's a phrasal verb. The verb and the preposition always work together. Collocations include those, but also adjectives that work together. Verb plus adjective, verb plus noun, adjective plus noun, combinations, just that they're commonly used. And they're a great way to build your vocabulary. My name is John. Okay, hi John, welcome to the show. Are you John from Colombia? Who studied with me at a school, perhaps? Have we met, John? Bolivia. Okay, Bolivia. Great. Welcome to the show. It's so cool because we have people from many different countries here. Morocco, Brazil, Bolivia, South Korea, Belgium, South Korea, Brazil. We have Nicaragua with us. We have Japan. It's just remarkable. But again, I'm looking forward to receiving video clips from you guys asking me these grammar questions, because then it's your specific grammar question, your English mystery, and I can really help you better that way. Well, it's nice to meet you, Say. I'm curious, how did you discover my live stream? Sorry, your name is not Say, your name is Jean. How did you discover this show? How to express regret. Yeah, good. Regret. I should have done my homework last night. Right? We can use modals plus present perfect. Should is a modal. Have done is present perfect. I should have done, but I didn't. Right? So that's related to conditionals, the grammar of conditionals. If I had studied more when I was young, I would be able to speak many languages, right? But I didn't, so now I can't speak many languages, and I regret that. I got a bad result on my test. I should have studied more, but I didn't. Yeah, so regret is built from the conditional grammar. Now, I would suggest that you guys check out my YouTube channel, if you haven't, because there are videos that really explain things like conditionals in depth. So let me just share my screen for a moment, if I can. On my YouTube channel, you can see, I believe, the series English Weirdness right here. And there's an episode right here about English conditionals. It's got a little story about a boy trying to learn how to play basketball from his friend, but it's all about conditionals. And it's 30 minutes long. It has animations that really explain in detail how conditionals work, right? And how we can use them to express regret. In fact, the story is about regret. It's about how one boy didn't become a basketball star, even though it was his dream, and he regrets that. Now, somebody mentioned articles. There's a video here with a story about a romantic date that goes bad. It goes badly because they don't use articles correctly. And then there's a detailed explanation. So my series English Weirdness is all about how communication goes wrong when we don't use the grammar correctly. So if you want to learn how to express regret, check out the episode on conditionals, because that's how we express regret, using conditional grammar. Okay? If you still don't understand it after watching the video, no problem. We'll deal with it on the show. But there's a lot of information in there that's really helpful, I think. Okay? I'm going to just pop out. Yeah. Okay, I was looking live English class on Facebook. Okay, so you're looking for a class? You were searching for a live class? Here it is. So yeah, this live stream happens every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. So every Friday, 4 p.m. Times do have to change occasionally because the clocks change where I am. But the best place to watch us is on the YouTube channel. So go to the Grammar Detective YouTube channel. Again, right here. Find the Grammar Detective on YouTube, and right up here you can see the live stream every week. I think YouTube has the best picture quality, so it's the best way to watch the show. It also streams on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Twitch So we're streaming all over the place. Okay, so we have passive. We also want to know about passive. Now, passive is a useful grammar form, but in my experience, it also is not well understood. So we can certainly do an episode about that. But Facebook user, it would be really helpful if you sent me a video asking me a specific question about passive. It's a big topic, but if you can give me an example sentence that you don't understand, that is the best way to start. As many of you know from this show, my method of instruction is called the inductive grammar instruction method. Inductive. And that works by taking an example from the real world, maybe something you've read, maybe something you've heard, and then we figure out the grammar that's happening in that sentence. Okay? That's the inductive method. If you've learned English, you were probably taught the deductive method, which is the teacher tells you the rule and then gives you an example. I don't teach like that. I teach the other way around. Now, the deductive method, rule, example, is really best for beginners or intermediate learners. Since I usually work with advanced learners and intermediate learners, I do it the other way around. I start with an example and we break it down and pull out the grammar structure that's hiding in there. I think it's the best way to understand something. So, my point is, if you send me an example, a sentence you've heard and you don't understand, we can build a whole show around that. So Eunice says, I have a question about grammar and speaking. I think native speakers use common ways to express something. I mean, in grammar, there are many ways to say something. Native speakers use some of them. Yeah, this is a great topic. Now, I would also say, Eunice, when you're learning English, it can be very confusing because you listen to native speakers, and if you're in your country, maybe you know some native English speakers, maybe you don't. Probably you're experiencing native English in movies or TV or YouTube, right? And that's fine, but there are some problems with that. One of the problems is not all native speakers speak perfect grammar. So they may be using really bad grammar and you don't know that it's bad. You think, oh, they're a native speaker. They must be perfect grammar. Not true. That can be very confusing. And that's also what this show is for, is to take an example that you've heard and we understand it better if we can analyze it. Native speakers, a lot of them use terrible grammar, unfortunately. It's true. I hear terrible grammar all the time whenever I watch movies. In fact, I'm actually doing a little investigation on movie grammar. Part of it is because, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who make movies whose grammar is bad. That's a fact. They don't realize they're using bad grammar, but they are. And by bad grammar, I don't mean they're not following the rules. I mean, it doesn't express what they think it expresses. So it's a challenge for you guys to understand English because a lot of native English speakers are using quote unquote bad grammar or expressions that don't make sense, that don't follow grammar rules. It's a big topic, Eunice. It's a very big topic. So that's why I say all the time, it's best if you can send me an example, a specific example to look at. Now that little example can explode into a big discussion, but send me a specific sentence. Send me a video. You ask the question, and I'll feature you on the show. I think your question's pretty clear. Now this is true. Grammar in speaking is not the same as it is in writing for a couple of reasons. One, when people are speaking, you're speaking to someone. You're usually with someone. And if this person says something and this person doesn't understand, they can say, hey, please say it again. And they can say it another way. You can clarify. With writing, if you're reading something, you can't talk to the writer. You don't see the writer. So the writing has to be 100% clear without the writer in the room. You're just reading a document. So writing has a higher responsibility to be clear. And one way it becomes clear is with excellent grammar, really good structure, so that the meaning is precise and clear to the reader. So absolutely, grammar in speaking is not as it is in writing. It can be shortened because when you're in the room with someone, you share the context. For example, if I write something, I might have to say, would you mind please giving me the rabbit that is sitting on the table beside Paul? I have to make everything clear. But if you're in the room with me, I could just say, hey, pass me the rabbit. And you see the rabbit on the table. Sorry, rabbit. You see the rabbit on the table. So if I just say, hey, can you pass me the rabbit? Or, dude, pass me the rabbit. You know which rabbit I'm talking about. You can see it. In writing, you don't have any of that visual information. You also don't have the history that you and the listener share. You might be talking to a good friend and you've known that person for 30 years. So the context is also your shared history. So there are all kinds of shortcuts that happen in speech that can't happen in writing. The other thing is, in speaking, a lot of native English speakers simply use bad grammar. How can I improve my vocabulary? Well, my favorite way is for you to read. Read, read, read. English is an irregular language, right? It has some rules, but it has contradictions to those rules. And the best way to learn it, really, is a lot of reading. Native speakers, when we're children, we have to read a lot to see all the different variations of the grammar structures and the expressions. That's how most of us learn it. Now, a lot of adults stop reading because they don't like it, but when they're children, they're forced to do a lot of reading. They may forget that, but English needs to be read to be really understood. And when you read, you see a new word, you see it in the context of the story or the article. So a larger understanding comes that way. What other grammar topics, guys? What other grammar topics should we talk about this year? And or do you have any other questions that I can help you with? Do you have questions about the country I live in? Do you have questions about me? Do you have questions about the show, the YouTube channel? Anything you want to ask tonight? Tonight is an open live stream. I want to hear from you what you want. What do you want to learn about? What do you want to know? Actually, let me put a caption. What do you want to know? For me, I think the most important thing in grag is talking about time. What's gratuitous? Eunice, can you clarify that? See, in writing, it has to be understandable the first time. Now, we're sort of having a conversation, but so, Jonathan, what country are you watching from? Thank you for joining the show, but I'm not sure if we've met before. Jonathan, I'm from Canada. Right now I'm streaming to you live from Vancouver, Canada. Vancouver is on the west coast of Canada. If you're familiar with the US, we are north of Seattle, which is north of San Francisco, which is north of LA. So the west coast is like Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, and Vancouver's in Canada across the border. Okay, so Eunice wants to know, I think the most important thing in grammar is talking about time. Well, it's important, for sure, but I don't think it's necessarily the most important thing. We always need to consider it, right? So we need to master verb tense. It's very important because we're humans. And humans, unlike many animals, have the ability, because of our brain power, we can remember the past, the things we did in the past, the things we saw in the past, the things we learned, the people we knew in the past. We keep that in our memory. We can think about the present. We can also predict the future. We can imagine the future. So because our brains can think in at least three temporal domains, we need language to express that. A lot of animals don't. A lot of animals may have some small memory, but most animals do not have any sense of the future, right? They live in the moment. I'm hungry, I need food. I wish I could do that sometimes. So yeah, verb tense is very important. I wish I could master talking about time in English. There are many rules, such as tenses and the words that match with each situation. Well, as I said, yeah, verb tense is how we express time. Now, you can also express time with adverbs, like, yesterday I ate pizza. Well, yesterday tells us a specific time I ate the pizza, but the verb ate tells us that it happened in the past, right? So the verb tells us the tense, past, present, or future, but adverbials can tell us more specific information. Yesterday I ate pizza. Last year I ate pizza. So you're right, there are many factors that combine to express tense. Okay. Yeah, and here's the other thing, perfect tense. The perfects are very important. They're important for this reason. As I mentioned, humans can remember the past, think about the present, and imagine the future. But we also know, because of that ability, we also know that some things that happened in the past affect us today. And we need English grammar to express that idea. That's the perfects. So for example, I have a leg injury that happened years ago. However, it still causes me problems today. So the past affects my health and my fitness today. I need a specific grammar to express that connection between the past and the present. That's present perfect, right? So grammar is needed to express human ideas. It's really important to understand that. We don't need present perfect so you can pass the test. That's not why it exists, to pass a quiz and graduate. It exists to express a human idea. You're still too young, said her grandmother. I don't understand why the author broke the rule subject-verb. Where is the rule broken? Subject-verb agreement is like, I am here, you are in South Korea, and that's what we have here. You are still too young. And said her grandmother, because the grandmother said this in the past. But when she said it, these are the exact words she said. This is a quotation. This looks like a dialogue from a story. So when she spoke, this is what she said. But she said it, the action of saying the words is in the past. So she didn't break any grammar rule. This is fine. This is good English. Her grandmother said, yeah, that's correct. Her grandmother said this in the past. But what did she say? She said, you are. Those were her exact words. We need to repeat the same words she said. That's what quotations do. Inside the quotation, it's timeless, right? Grandmother said this in the past. What did she say? She said, you are. So if you're watching a movie, you see the actress playing the grandmother. What does she say in the movie? Right? She says, "You are still too young." Those are the words she said in the past. So there's nothing wrong with that sentence. It's perfectly fine. Possessive instead of personal pronoun. Okay, good. Possessives. Always tricky. And again, Chris, I think in one of my other videos on the YouTube channel, there is an episode of English Weirdness here that says using nouns as adjectives. And it does talk about possessives in that video. So that's worth reviewing, I think. But we can certainly address that. Ah, I see. I'm the same person. My name is Jonathan, but my nickname is John. I was testing YouTube. It's my first. Oh, okay, great. Well, thank you for finding my channel. It's great to have you with us. Yes, teacher, exactly. That's what I meant. How to use a specific tense to express an idea. Okay, good. Now, Eunice, I would also suggest on the YouTube channel, again, I'm not trying to promote my YouTube channel, but there are some videos that deal with tense. For example, this one here is about present simple and present continuous. This one is a two-parter, and it's all about transitive or intransitive verbs. So that's very helpful, but watch part one first. This one here is all about present perfect. Now, this is a video we made for Halloween, so it has a bit of a scary story in it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. If you get scared easily, don't watch it. But it has a great explanation of present perfect. And again, this series, English Weirdness, features a little story of grammar being used wrong and then a thorough explanation of how to fix that. So if you want to learn more about present perfect, check that out. And if you want to learn more about simple present, present continuous, check that one out. Each one of those videos has a lot of information in it that's, I think, hopefully helpful. Because grammar in English is different from our native languages. Yes, absolutely. By the way, if you're in Morocco, Yunus, I believe you probably speak Arabic or you're familiar with Arabic. This episode here of English Weirdness, called The Case of the Missing Be Verb, features an Arabic actor, and we talk about how the Arabic language leads to some problems with English grammar. It's called language interference. And in the case of the character in this story, they keep forgetting the be verb because in his language, you don't need a be verb. So that episode might be interesting for you if you speak Arabic. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but if you are originally an Arabic speaker, that might be interesting. The difference between with and by, okay? Yeah, they're not similar at all. With, you have to think about with in terms of equal. Like in this room, I am with my rabbit. We're together. So all prepositions connect nouns. They connect nouns to other nouns, nouns to verbs, etc. So I'm a noun. The rabbit is a noun. How are we connected? Well, we're with each other in this room. We're with each other on the stream. You and I are with each other on the stream. I can say, I am with you guys on the live stream. We're together. We're equally together. We use by to connect methods, right? Like I stream this show by connecting my camera to software, to social media platforms. That's how I do it. I do it by connecting blah, blah, blah. That's the method. By is also used in passives, right? I kicked the ball. The ball was kicked by Paul, right? So that's how we use by. I can certainly build a show around that with some more details. I do, Jonathan, Jean. I mentioned it earlier. Recently, I've been doing a podcast focused on writing with two writing coaches from the UK, Philip and Pete. And we do this once a month right now. We're just getting started. We're on episode 6. And each month we discuss different topics related to writing in English, specifically for you guys learning English, right? Lots of good tips. I just heard a weird noise. Lots of good tips there for you. Check that out. Yeah, trouble with writing. I also did another podcast in the past. We're not doing it anymore, but it was called the Ego Education Podcast. But you can find this one on Spotify. And the video version's also on my YouTube channel. You can check that out. So thank you for asking. But this show, Hard Boiled English Live, is not really a podcast because much of what I do is on the board. Eunice, or Jean, sorry. But all of the recordings of these episodes, by the way, this is number 93, I think. Been doing it for 2 years. They're all on the YouTube channel. So you can review, and each one investigates different grammar details. So you can go back and check those if you want. Yeah, by all means, take a look at those episodes. By the way, the series, English Weirdness, I made these videos with my students. So the students that act in it are students. The students that helped with the lights and the camera, they're all students. And none of them knew anything about video making. We just did it as a fun activity. So it was a great achievement for them to participate in that project and make 10 episodes of basically a TV series. So I'd love to hear what you think of English Weirdness after you watch them. So please get in touch and give me some feedback. Yeah, podcasts are fantastic. I love podcasts myself. I listen to all kinds of podcasts. You can get political information, news, economics, language, science, all kinds of stuff from podcasts. I love podcasts. Well, guys, do you have any other questions before we wrap up for the day? We have a good list of grammar points to discuss in 2023. Again, please participate. Send me a video clip asking me about a specific sentence or example, and I'll build the show around your specific English mystery. And it's helpful for everyone. It gives you a chance to participate. Well, guys, if you don't have any other questions, I think I best get going. It's dinner time where I am, and in the present tense, Paul wants to eat dinner. So I'll say good night, guys. One last time. If you have grammar questions, specific questions, send me a little video. Just shoot a simple little 1-minute video. Hi, Paul. I want to know blah, blah, blah. And then email it to me at hardboiledenglish6@gmail.com. And I'll build a whole show around it, and you'll be featured. Okay, so please do that. It really helps the show. And that way, the audience isn't just watching me all the time. Anyways, guys, I want to wish you a Happy New Year. Until I see you next Friday. Let's put up that graphic. Friday at 4. Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Check us out again. We'll be up live on Friday. And, change over here. A bit of a strange schedule for January and February again, so we'll be live next week. January 20th on YouTube only. So stay tuned for promotions. Best thing to do is just subscribe to the channel, subscribe to my Facebook page, Grammar Detective. That way you'll get all the notifications. January 27th to February 17th, offline, no shows. February 24th, return to weekly streaming. And then in March, there'll be a new time, okay? But I'll announce that as we get closer. All right, guys, well, I'm going to say goodnight to you. So until we meet again, I'd like to wish you a Happy New Year. Thank you for joining me today. For those of you who are new to the show, thank you for joining me. It's been great to meet you. Thank you very much. So guys, until I see you again, I want you to keep learning, stay healthy, and as always, stay cool. Thanks for watching tonight's show. If you have an English grammar question, an English mystery, contact me on social media and send me a video of you asking the question. I'll investigate it on a future show. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button to get all the updates about videos and events. If you're feeling generous, you can also donate to the production costs of the show at Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee. Finally, until the next time I see you on Hardboiled English Live, I want you to keep learning English. Stay healthy and stay cool.